How did one of America's fastest growing, most viral brands go from this to this?
Liquid Death have decided to stop selling in the UK.
The official reason for their temporary pause? Production issues. But the numbers tell a different story. The grocer first reported UK sales barely hit 2 million euros, far less than the 10th place water brand. Meanwhile, Liquid Death raked in roughly $300 million in the US over a comparable 52-week period. Then their international director quietly resigned. No statement, just a LinkedIn post. Something felt off. To find out, I had to dig into the numbers to understand the real sales impact, closely examine market trends to better grasp consumer preferences in the UK, and talk to an industry expert to try to make sense of what went wrong.
Everybody with a LinkedIn account has an opinion right now. A lot of marketers want to use this as proof that marketing isn't as easy as perhaps the gurus let us know it is.
It's clear there's much more to this story, something Liquid Death isn't telling us. Something other brands expanding outside their local markets should really know. That commercial aired to millions of mostly American viewers during Super Bowl 59 in February 2025. Liquid Death spent over 7 million smackaroos to reach its most loyal consumers on advertising's biggest stage. Clearly a push to cement its US success. But while it looked like a victory lap at home, the company was quietly pulling out of another market. But this story starts years before that. So let's take a look at when things were on a seemingly never-ending rise for Liquid Death to unravel how we got here. In 2017, Mike Cesario founded Liquid Death. It looked like a beer, felt like an energy drink, and flipped off the entire bottled water industry. Most bottled water brands spent millions trying to convince you that their water was fresher, purer, or from a more exotic glacier. Liquid Death, on the other hand, skipped the traditional marketing playbook entirely.
I'm a professional actor, and I'm getting paid to tell you about a revolutionary new product.
Liquid Death mountain water.
Their first commercial, a ridiculously over-the-top social media ad that cost just $1,500, racked up 3 million views and 80,000 Facebook followers. More than Aquafina at the time. They sold directly to consumers from their website. From there, the marketing and the humor only got more extreme. Cue the montage. They spread single-use plastic pollution awareness with a campaign called #DeathToPlastic. Sold a VIP membership where customers could legally sell their souls. Even their emails had the same voice, with CTAs like, hell yes. But gaining online attention as a brand is good, but not enough. You have to get your product in front of the people. You have to be different. Picture the water aisle at your local grocery store. Rows of clear bottles and words like pure and refreshing. And then a tall aluminum can with a skull logo. It stands out, that's the point. That strategy turned Liquid Death into an impulse buy, something you grab on instinct. By 2020, the company was in over 60,000 stores and pulled in $10 million in sales. Liquid Death didn't just find its audience by relying on the internet and grocery store shows. It succeeded by going straight to the source, concerts. Specifically, the punk and rock shows that first inspired Cesario. They went after rebels and music fans, landing a 2021 Live Nation partnership that got them into 120 plus venues and major festivals. That's a lot of opportunity for people to drink water. The company had transformed from a niche internet product into a $700 million brand in just 5 years. So naturally, the next step, expand. In 2023, after 6 years of success and a #1 ranking in Amazon's still water category, the company announced its UK expansion. On paper, it was the perfect next move. The UK, one of the main homes of punk, plus a 1.6 billion euro bottled water market ripe for disruption. Liquid Death's senior VP of marketing, Dan Murphy, basically put it this way. We saw the UK blowing up in our socials and web traffic, so we figured, why not? So, if Liquid Death had the brand, the viral marketing, and the right attitude, they should have connected with UK consumers. Why didn't they? Let's be clear, Liquid Death struggled in the UK for several reasons. And the more I looked into it, the more they felt like puzzle pieces coming together to reveal a much deeper issue behind this entire failure. Let's start with the obvious ones first.
Why buy normal water when you can pay 2 times more for the exact same thing? Introducing obscenely expensive water. For those that believe hydration should be an experience and a financial burden.
If that sounds absurd, well, it kind of was, but it's not far from what actually happened. This is pretty much what Liquid Death tried to do in the UK. Banking on the same premium pricing strategy, The brand charged up to twice as much as other brands while offering up to 7 less liters of water. I know, at first glance it's easy to blame the price, but it wasn't just expensive, it was expensive at the worst possible time. The UK was, and still is, in a cost of living crisis. From 2021 to 2024, consumer prices jumped 20%. UK shoppers have become hyper aware of every pound they spend. So this $5.50 either gets you a sandwich, a snack, and a drink, a carton of eggs, and 5 loaves of bread, an 8-pack of Buxton water, or this 4-pack of Liquid Death. Food I can feed my family with, or edgy water. Decisions. With 45% of surveyed UK grocery shoppers admitting to cutting back on non-essential items, unfortunately for Liquid Death, cool-looking canned water is about as non-essential as it gets. Liquid Death's failure in the UK might seem like a simple pricing problem, but there's something bigger at play. Something that has nothing to do with the price. In the US, Liquid Death benefited from impulse buys. Standing out in an otherwise dull water aisle made Liquid Death something you grabbed without a second thought. But in the UK, according to a 2024 survey by Clear Channel, 38% of people are actively trying to avoid impulse purchases. Think about it. If you're buying water, you go straight to the aisle where Liquid Death should stand out. But it was either overpriced or misplaced, like at Tesco, where it ended up in the beer aisle because it looked like beer. Placement wasn't the only problem. In the British market, the bulk of Liquid Death's strategy rested on social media. In the US, that approach worked. I was just talking about it earlier in this video, but in the UK, that's all they had. No big ad campaigns, no retail push, just a lot of social media. 2 different studies paint a clear picture as to why that failed. One found that 57% of UK consumers have never bought anything from a social media ad. Another ranked social media as the second least trusted ad platform, while TV remained the most trusted. This means if you're not on TV, radio, or newspapers, you're missing where UK consumers pay attention. So what was brilliant in the US flopped in the UK. But again, these surface level struggles, pricing, placement, and marketing were just symptoms of a much deeper issue. At its core, Liquid Death's strategy was simple: use humor to make people buy water. And in the US, that humor works. Their $7 million plus Super Bowl ad joked about employees drinking on the job because with Liquid Death, they could. But when that same rebellious energy hit the UK, it didn't land the same way. Cano Water founder Josh White puts it bluntly: what works in the US doesn't always translate. British consumers have different humor, drinking habits, and brand relationships. This wasn't just about a logo or a slogan. The culture itself didn't align. A 2021 University of London study found that British humor leans toward irony, self-deprecation, and subtle wit. In the US, rebellion is loud, bold, and very much in your face. Rebellion still exists in the UK, but it's served with a wink. Less Three Stooges and more Monty Python. On the flip side, some argue that branding wasn't the issue at all.
You can't turn around and look at the struggles Liquid Death has had and say, oh, this is because British people don't like American-style marketing. It's not true. The majority of Brits who watch the Super Bowl have no fucking clue what's going on in the game. They watch it because they want to see the ads and the halftime show.
That's marketing expert Phill Agnew, who hosts the UK's #1 marketing podcast, Nudge, where he analyzes consumer psychology and how we all interact with brands. Beyond branding, Liquid Death ran up against a much more profound cultural divide. In the US, tap water has an image problem. A 2010 dissertation found that many Americans view tap water as unsafe. The study also highlighted how bottled water marketing in high-profile cases, like the city of Flint, Michigan's lead contamination, have fueled this distrust. But in the UK, that skepticism doesn't exist.
It is really common in the UK, especially in Scotland actually, to heavily value your tap water. Scottish tap water is famed as being some of the best in the world, and people rave about it. I think Brits are quite proud of their tap water, and the idea that you're going to go out and spend some money to splash the cash on something that you can get for free out of your tap is quite hard for a lot of Brits to swallow.
That's not to say that people don't buy it, plenty do, but in the UK, it's not seen as a premium item. And without a strong foothold, time ran out fast. Liquid Death's UK expansion might have benefited from more time. It took 6 years from the inception to reach a $1.4 billion valuation, thanks to its US domination. But it exited the UK in less than 2.
Liquid Death tried to go mass market across the UK too quickly, and that meant they didn't get the penetration anywhere and they never looked extremely popular. Liquid Death, I guess, has shown how difficult it actually is in terms of getting market saturation.
To be completely honest, we had a banger of a conversation, and Phill had much more to say on how brands should expand into other markets. Way too much to get into in this video, but I've done you a favor, and I've saved the full conversation where Phill explores why certain business habits are so hard to break, how much market exposure matters, and the key things businesses need to consider to find success abroad. He shares a ton of insights and specific data points to back it up, so make sure to click the link in the description or scan this QR code to hear the full conversation. Now, back to Liquid Death. I don't know about you, but if I haven't seen someone, somewhere, drinking a beverage that's on the store shelves, I'm not buying it. Brands like Joe and the Juice understand this. When the Danish company entered the UK market in 2009, it opened just 15 stores in a small part of West London. Why?
Because if you have 3 Joe the Juices on King's Road in West London, people who are walking down King's Road will see the first one and say, oh, I've never seen that brand before, I wonder what they're like. They see the second one and think, oh wow, okay, that's clearly quite successful.
By the third, they're thinking, all right, I have to try this, there are so many. It worked. They expanded beyond London into Amsterdam.
Perhaps they would have benefited from initially only entering the market and only serving high-end gyms, only serving good eateries in London, fancy bars, for example. Getting pure saturation within one market is actually slightly better.
Instead of spreading too thin, Phill suggests Liquid Death could have dominated one space first. And it happens more often than you realize. It's what brands face when they misread a market. Does anyone remember when Taco Bell tried selling Americanized tacos in Mexico? Locals weren't buying it, literally. It flopped in 1992. They tried again in 2007. It was gone by 2010. Starbucks thought Australians would love overpriced lattes. They didn't. Local cafes already ruled. Better coffee, better prices, better vibes. By 2008, 70% of Starbucks stores shut down. Target expanded to Canada. 133 stores, a $2 billion expansion. Shoppers expected US prices. They got higher prices, supply chain chaos, and disappointment. By 2015, Target was gone. Among a bunch of other issues, these brands thought that what worked in the US would work anywhere. Now, do not get it twisted. Liquid Death's UK exit is not the end. It is very, very far from it. They're still, for all intents and purposes, thriving.
The only reason we're talking about Liquid Death is because their marketing did capture the attention of so many people, and they did such a good job to build brand awareness. And it is such a surprise that they didn't succeed in the UK.
This was just a lesson. Success in one market doesn't guarantee success in another, but brands that adapt can still find their limelight or quench their customers' thirst. If you want to see more on how brands can rise to great heights and face significant setbacks, watch my video on the one decision that tanked Southwest. How did one of the most successful and beloved airlines in history go from this to this?
It was a failure, epically, from top to bottom.
Don't forget to check out our full interview with Phill Agnew in the link below, and subscribe to the Hustle YouTube channel for the latest business and tech news. Rebellion still exists in the UK, but it's served with a wink. Is that a good wink? I'm one of the world's worst winkers and one of the world's even worst on-camera winkers, so you know, I gave the wink a try. Was it a good wink? Let me know down in the comments below. How's my winks?